Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk to you about the concept of holding space for yourself when you're figuring stuff out. It could be emotionally, it could be mentally, it could be while solving a problem, it could be while coming up with a business idea, whenever. A lot of times, what happens is that when you're thinking things through and you're trying to arrive at a decision or some path forward, you do tend to meander. It's not a straight path, it's not a straight line. You might think a lot of things, arrive at a certain point, and think that that's the decision. And then you might find that a day later you find new information, and then you have to sort of pivot and you take a different decision. And what I have observed is that even when I arrive at a decision, more often than not, some new information comes up and I end up changing my decision. And this actually happens a few times before I feel that, all right, now I have all the information I need. This decision makes sense emotionally, mentally, in every possible way. And this is what I'm going to go with. So, to hold that space for yourself where there's ambiguity, where there's, oh, by the way, the noises because of like airplanes, we live near the Air Force station. So this happens a number of times during the day. But coming back to what I was saying, it's so important to hold a space where you give yourself the permission to change your decisions, to be okay with ambiguity, to be okay with lack of decisiveness, right? Let's take the example of where I am right now. I'm actually trying to come up with passive income generation ideas. And just the phase I'm in, I'm sort of at a thought level thinking through so many things that one day I'll be like, hey, this idea is great. Let's like dive into it and see how it is. And the next day I'm like, let's look at a different idea and see where it goes. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I might start working on one thing, and just the information I get from working on that will lead me to believe that, hey, there might be a better path, or hey, this is not really my path. There are so many different permutations and combinations possible, right? But if I were to like beat myself up just because I decided one thing and found out that that's not really for me and pivoted, then that's not a good thing, because it's a part of the process to stumble and fumble and meander, gather information, and do all of that. So I think one of the ways to like deal with this is to look at this from a frame of being a learner, of being an explorer, rather than someone who has to figure out the right idea. And if they found that that's not the path, then beating themselves up. No, it, that's pretty self-defeating. That's not helpful at all. But if you look at yourself as an explorer, you can be like, I'm curious about this path. I'm curious about the problem I'm dealing with, and I'm going to allow myself the playground, the space to try try a lot of things, try different things, learn a bunch of stuff, experiment, grow, and at the end of it, I will be sure that if nothing else, I have learned a lot and I've grown a lot. So that's something that's coming up for me very strongly these days, not only in terms of business stuff, but also like emotional stuff. For example, for the last few weeks, I've been in the process of grieving something. And when you're grieving, it's never a linear path. You sort of go through different phases. But it's important to sort of create that container for yourself and be okay with having meandering feelings, to have even negative feelings, to not be okay, and all of that, you know. So I'd encourage you to, well, look at everything as a part of the process, to look at yourself as an explorer, especially when you're doing something new that you haven't done before, to allow yourself that space to explore and play, and to hold that container for yourself where you can allow for indecisiveness and ambiguity and lack of clarity. Because when you do that, the outcome will be something much better than beating yourself up. The outcome will be that you would have tried a bunch of things and you'll finally arrive at something that is a keeper. So that's my thoughts for the day. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, please feel free to leave a comment below, to like, to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.